Kirsty, welcome. Thank you for doing the Customer Success Zone with us.
No problem.
So to start, maybe just do a quick intro about yourself,
Sure.
your role at the institution, and how you're interacting with feedback or surveys.
Okay, so my name's Kirsty Scanlon, and I'm the Global Director for Strategic Planning, Performance and Projects at Heriot-Watt University, and that's an institution just outside Edinburgh in Scotland. My remit is very broad, and one of the areas, and it's actually one of my passions, is data. We do all the business intelligence for the institution, and part of that is looking at student surveys. So my team have been building dashboards from scratch. We're not Blue users, but what we are MLY users. We were one of the early adopters of MLY, and we use that to turn around our open text, free text comments that are provided in all our student surveys, and we also have the staff module, so we use it for all our staff surveys, and we utilise that to get that insight and actionable comments and actionable feedback from the surveys and pulse checks that we take around the institution.
Right. I mean, and I'm really excited to dive in, to the staff element of this as well, in addition to the students. But before we get to that, talk to me a little bit about the period prior to Heriot-Watt partnering with Explorance. What was the setup? What were some issues or some concerns you were looking to address?
Well, before we had the MLY software, what would happen is we would run surveys. We'd get around 20,000 responses across the academic year, and each one, whether a course evaluation, be it an annual survey, be it the National Student Survey, which is the very critical student survey in the UK, the NSS, those open comments would be received from those, because you always ask, and what do you think about it? Give us some comment about what you think about the institution or your course or whatever. The problem is the time it takes to code and analyse those was overwhelming. So quite honestly, nothing happened with those pieces of feedback, unless it was something like the NSS, which was so strategically important. But then it would take 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks minimum, just for someone to, day by day, because you can't do them all as a one-er, otherwise it's terrible. You had to spread it over a course of days, because you could be quite negative on a Monday and be really positive by Wednesday, but back down in the doldrums on the Friday. So it was inconsistent, it was time-consuming, and it also lagged massively behind the quantitative data analysis that we could turn around with the sort of developments I pushed through with BI. We could get the quant right out really quickly within a matter of hours.
Right.
But then the qualitative feedback just sat, and then it lost its impact. So it was kind of 2 to 3, 4 weeks down the line, you go, oh, and by the way, the student said this, and it had lost its impact. Things had moved on. People had started already creating their action plans, or it gave people an excuse not to do their action plans in a timely manner. So having something that could turn around those open comments so swiftly was an absolute game changer.
Now, it's a great segue into my next question, because I want to know more about, what the process was for selecting Explorance. So what capabilities stood out that really got it over that line for you all at Heriot-Watt?
Absolutely. So it was actually one of my team attended a conference, the Higher Education Strategic Planners Association, that's a professional body in the UK. He attended a conference in my stead, and he came back and he said, Kirsty, we've got this, I saw this piece of software, I think you'll be interested. And I'm slightly cynical. I was like, oh no, another pitch from another company.
Right.
And we got Explorance in, and I have to admit I was seriously impressed, because what you are doing is looking against, it's not just chucking things into AI and hoping for the best. It's using a large language model, which is based on the people that we're talking about. So it was looking at other higher education settings. It wasn't just chucking it into Copilot and fingers crossed you'll get something back that's useful. It was actually looking at other institutions around the world, and we are a global institution, so that was really important to us. We're not just based in Scotland. We have a fully integrated campus with our Edinburgh campus based in Malaysia, one in Dubai, and so we want to have that global view, which this large language model that MLY uses absolutely nails. So it was consistent, it was coherent, and it was an ethical use of AI. Institutions are being pushed to use AI in certain ways, but we have to do it with a cautious and sensible way. And even director of IS was like, yeah, this is actually a really sensible, appropriate use of AI, that we could start to say, look, we are using AI in a really measured and sensible way, because it is the large language model that is in the higher education scenario, not just everybody out there who's ever responded to a survey.
Right, absolutely. So let's move now to how Heriot-Watt's using the Explorance solution now. Maybe some common use cases on the student side first, and then we'll do the staff separately.
Sure. So we're using MLY, integrating it in with our other data sources, so we can deliver the qual and the quant side by side. So like I was saying, we have no time lag now between when we're pushing out our quantitative data from our student surveys, from our course evaluation surveys. Almost immediately we can also then translate the open comment text analysis straight through MLY, and it's in the same platform, because what we want to make sure is it is seamless for our academic colleagues. One of the blockers is when you're apparently clicking through to another area is really impossible and it can't happen. So having it all on one dashboard means that it's a one-stop shop. We've actually developed the dashboard to be a completely comprehensive one-stop shop of their, so they can look at the build of their course or their module, what sort of students are on there, what's the academic profile, what's the grade profile, what's the trend, the student experience, the student engagement. All of these things are in one place, and MLY is a key part of that.
Wow. And I mean, it's great to sort of hear this example of how MLY is working, you know, in conjunction with everything else. Now tell me about the staff side, because I want to know sort of how some of this is translating into the sort of non-student use cases.
Absolutely. So we were when we were talking about it was the student survey response aspect that got us in, and we were talking to I think it was Matt from the UK, and he said, oh, we also have this module on staff experience, and we're like, oh, okay, because we also get roped into helping the analysis of our staff surveys, and so we looked at that, and we decided to invest in that as a trial as well, and we are using that so much. Basically anywhere that we collect information, be that open comments from an all-staff briefing, we will put that through MLY. So we're really pushing the boundaries. It's not actually what I think you want it to be. It was designed for, where it's not just surveys, it's all open comment scenarios. We are putting that data through and utilising that, so we can get staff experience and staff feedback out to our professional services and our academic leadership really quickly as well. And that you know, happy staff, happy students, happy staff.
Yep. Absolutely. It's another sort of closed loop scenario.
Exactly.
So talk to me a little bit about, you know, some specific initiatives. They can be recent, or they can be, you know, maybe a couple of years in the past, but is there an instance that comes to mind where the university set a goal or had, you know, a KPI, a metric that they were really monitoring with feedback, and Explorance, that partnership really helped them get there?
Absolutely. So we have two. So our strategic performance indicators, we're actually just at the close of our strategic period and about to launch our next 10-year strategy. And I know that these are two markers that will go through to both. And one is on student experience and one is on staff experience or staff engagement. And the staff engagement in the current strategic period is a combination of our say, stay and thrive markers in our surveys, but within those surveys is always the open comments. And whilst you're asking the key Likert scales to say, what do you think about X, Y or Z, the real intelligence and the real context and nuance comes from those open comments, because it can mean very different, because of particularly we have different cultures. We've got our Dubai colleagues, we have our Malaysia colleagues, we have our Scotland colleagues, and even within Scotland we have 3 campuses. We have our main campus in Edinburgh, but we also have a very very small campus on the islands of Orkney, and one in the Scottish borders, which is one specific subject area. And those are radically different experiences. So asking that Likert scale question might give you one piece of information that is similar for Scotland, Dubai and Malaysia, but the open comments might give you so much more richness and nuance, which is absolutely vital. So it's about not just taking the markers and going, great, we're doing well. It's about taking the nuance and it's about taking that insight.
Really, really great information, so I appreciate the answer, because it's so important to point out that, yes, Likert scales are important, the quantitative, but it's the qualitative that really enhances it, right?
Absolutely. It adds the color and the flavor.
So another great segue into, you're about to launch the next 10-year initiative, the next 10-year plan. So what maybe are you looking forward to most in those next 10 years in terms of starting something that Heriot-Watt's not doing yet, or building upon what you've already done with Explorance?
I think the reality is I'm a pragmatist at heart. I'm a data nerd, and I'm a pragmatist. And the reality is that student experience drives student recruitment, and student recruitment drives the financial sustainability of any institution. So for me, it's really embedding the importance. It's not just your course evaluation surveys, your annual surveys aren't just a box-ticking exercise. They are critical to the success of the institution. If you do not have happy students graduating and being your ambassadors out in the big wide world, you are not going to get your future customers and consumers of your product, and therefore you're not going to be a financially sustainable institution. So for me, it's really embedding that and putting how important it is. And like I said, it's really vital to have happy and engaged staff along that journey, because they will feed the positive environment that the students will thrive in.
Yep, absolutely. And I think we will all at Explorance be watching with very keen interest to see, the next things that Heriot-Watt are doing. Because I think you guys are doing a lot of really great work.
We are pushing the boundaries. I think we try your team to their maximum. It's like, can you make it do this? Can you make it do that? And I think that it's a really strong partnership, and one that I really value.
Now, can you speak a little bit more about that? Your experience working with the Explorance support staff, because I know that there's been, some more complex initiatives, some more complex asks, and maybe just walk me through an example of, how that partnership, works on a nuts and bolts level.
So I'm only here on the tailcoats and coasting on the glory of my team. My team are the people who are really driving this forward. And all I can say is that the Explorance team that they are communicating with, be that probably colleagues directly in the UK or directly with people in Montreal, is that they are really responsive and open to those conversations, and they take our feedback and help and asks to be really instrumental. We can see those things that we're talking about coming through the next releases, and that's really positive and really strong. There's been some things we did the National Student Survey, like I said, is a huge thing in the UK. To every institution, it is a strategically vital survey. We kind of had to develop our own NSS way of working with the MLY software, and we were really delighted that the most recent release has an NSS module, and we did a test alongside it, and it was almost exactly the same. The outcomes were almost exactly the same as ours. So it's either we've did it really well in the first place, or you guys have done it really well to reflect what we have done. So for me, that is true partnership. And
it's an excellent case of, we obviously want all of our customers, including Heriot-Watt, to succeed, right? Yeah. And it's these new initiatives with the NSS model for MLY that are really, looking towards the future of what it can do. So,
absolutely.
Let's end things off with an Explorance World question.
Yeah.
We are taping this towards the end of the conference, so instead of me asking you what are you most looking forward to, perhaps what have you enjoyed the most about this year's conference? This
year's conference is my first Explorance World. I have attended the Explorance European. In fact, Heriot-Watt hosted it last year. It is truly valuable seeing the mutual challenges that the higher education sector across the world is facing, and we have so much in common, even if we may have quite clear differences in ways of delivering funding mechanisms. At the heart of it, we're all about enhancing that student experience and educating and providing world-changing solutions. So it's a really helpful reminder to go, we are all in the same boat, and just it's nice to be from Scotland in Boston this year at the moment with, it feels like most of my country folk are here and drinking all the beer.
I was going to say, Scotland, major presence in Boston at Explorance World
yeah,
this
and the
week.
thing is, I don't sound Scottish because I've lived in Scotland for 12 years, but I've got a very English accent. So last night when we were going around, I was going, where are you from? They go, Scotland. I said, yes, I know that. Where in Scotland? I live there too. Oh.
Well, you know, just an amazing sort of added level to Explorance World this week.
Which your timing was perfection.
So that's a great place to end it on, Christy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.